Welcome back, you lovely people. In today's video, I want to talk about how Bitcoin will get to $300,000 by October, and then how we'll get to multi-millions of dollars per Bitcoin in the future. But firstly, let's check in on the price action for today. Bitcoin is currently up 3.5%. Really, really nice to see this continued strength. We were looking at it yesterday. It now looks like we're going for our fourth positive day out of 5. And like I said, this down bar was quite positive as well, in that we were much lower and recovered. So the market's starting to look bullish. And of course, if you watched the video yesterday, then you will know we were on the verge of breaking out from our triangle, and that's exactly what happened. And the price action looks absolutely beautiful. We've had a breakout. We came in to retest the line and confirmed it as support, and it now looks like we are resuming upwards. So I have the circle drawn in there as our first target, and it does look like that target has been achieved. And therefore the next target is now around 41,000. That will be a big level, as we've been discussing. And then our third and final level for this recovery is this area that we drew in with the triangle between 49 and 52,000. And we will, of course, be focusing more on that as we hopefully get closer in the not too distant future. And related to that, I've been getting a lot of questions from people saying, who is going to be buying Bitcoin? Where is the money going to be coming from to make these moves? Well, in the very, very short term, there is a lot of cash on the sidelines. So think of all of the investors and traders that are out of the market after what has happened. They will be coming back in when they see the price going up, and that's why we might actually get a squeeze much higher and quite quickly. So there is a lot of cash waiting and ready to go. That will be enough for us to get our recovery, because of course we were at 65,000 and now we're only at 39,000. So just on that time frame, Bitcoin is trading at a discount of about 40%. But when we talk about targets of $300,000, how do we get to that sort of level? Those targets seem absolutely massive. So let's talk about that in two different ways. Number one, let's talk about market psychology. This is the complete history of Bitcoin. This is fine. And we started, of course, down at near zero. This chart goes down to about $2. And along this journey, then each level has seemed much, much higher than the previous one. And what I mean by that, we had our cycle peak at $252 in mid-2013. If you'd have said to somebody a few years before that we were going to $250, they would have said you're crazy. We then had another peak of $1,000. If you'd have said to somebody at $10 we were going to $1,000, they would have called you crazy. We had a nice correction, and then imagine we came down to $200 and we went up to a peak of $20,000. Imagine when people were talking at $200 about the price being $20,000. It seems like a massive amount. And then, of course, around the halving, when I started putting out content about $8,000, I was saying that we're going well into 6 figures. And we went up to 65,000 at our most recent peak. But if you just said to somebody at $8,000 we were going to $65,000, they would have said that it was unrealistic. So market psychology plays out this way. The market is fickle and has a very short-term memory. As we start passing $100,000, $200,000 won't seem like it's too far away. And as we pass 200,000, 300,000 will seem like a drop in the ocean. Now, that's on the market dynamics and psychology. But of course, practically, where's all of this investment going to come from? Now, I really liked this tweet from William Clemente. Definitely go and check him out if you don't already follow him. Bitcoin will absorb the monetary premium from gold, then the fixed income market, then the equity and real estate markets, then the entirety of M2. And what does that mean? Well, the Bitcoin market cap is back under $1 trillion, $729 billion. And the total market cap of crypto, as a reference, is under $2 trillion. These may seem like big numbers, but they are in fact a drop in the ocean compared to the total addressable market. What do I mean by that? Well, Bitcoin is promising to become a far superior payment network, global payment network that everybody can access, far superior to the current systems of Swift and banks and payment processors, etc. And of course, Bitcoin is promising to be a far superior store of value to gold and other financial assets. I just needed to turn on that light. And of course, that is coming to fruition because Bitcoin has an average capital gain of 200% per year. So it is, of course, promising to be an incredible store of value. So the addressable market for Bitcoin is massive because it could essentially fulfill the vast majority of the world's monetary functions. And I like this page, which I'll link to in the description, Visual Capitalist. It shows the market cap of each of the major financial assets or sectors. So for reference, when this was written in 2020, crypto was a quarter of a trillion. Now we're nearly 2 trillion. So we've already gone up. Let's say it was 10x, and now we've dipped a little bit below it. And Bitcoin, as we know, as we just covered, is $750 billion. So Bitcoin, 750 billion. Compare that to some key numbers. So the US budget deficit is 3.8 trillion. Okay. All of the coins and banknotes in circulation are 6.6 trillion. So already a huge number. The Federal Reserve balance sheet, 7 trillion. I believe that's more like 8 or 9 trillion now. And would it be surprising to see the central banks start adding Bitcoin to their balance sheets? If they can print infinite amounts of money, why not print money to buy the best performing asset that ever existed? The world's billionaires worth 8 trillion. I'm sure that's a lot more now after what has happened over the past year or so. But of course, many of these billionaires are, if they're not already buying Bitcoin, then they will be buying Bitcoin. Gold is worth 10.9 trillion. So Bitcoin is not even 1/10 of the gold market yet. And of course, it is digital gold and improves on gold in a number of ways, particularly the fact that it's far easier to transfer. It's much easier to send $1 million worth of Bitcoin with the click of a button than it is to send $1 million worth of gold, because that gets quite challenging because it's physical, of course, and heavy. And Bitcoin, of course, is also improves upon gold in its scarcity. Now, gold is scarce. That's why it became the best form of money that existed until Bitcoin. We don't know exactly how much gold is in the earth and in our universe, but we know that there are only 21 million Bitcoin that ever existed, so it's solved for scarcity. Fortune 500 companies, Bitcoin is already taking over many of these companies, and it will certainly be taking over the others in the not too distant future. Total stock market's at 89.5 trillion. Narrow money, easily accessible money is 35.2 trillion. So easily accessible money. The way I read that is it would be very easy for that money to be converted into Bitcoin, or to be used to buy Bitcoin, 35 trillion. That would be a 35x from where we are now. Broad money, all of the money that exists, is 95 trillion. Global debt for 253 trillion. Global real estate, 280 trillion. What happens when real estate investors realize that Bitcoin is a far greater store of value than real estate? That's something that William Clemente was alluding to here. And of course, the equity markets as well. Real estate has been a fantastic store of value, but is very much dependent on central banks holding interest rates at near zero. And of course, the primary use of real estate should be to live in and shouldn't be for a store of value. So now that we have a pristine store of value, as Michael Saylor likes to talk about now, and imagine all of the new generations, the kids that are growing up, that are comfortable with technology, do you think they're going to be more inclined to be buying houses or to be buying Bitcoin? Global wealth, 360 trillion. This is where it starts to get really crazy. Derivatives, so financial products, and of course derivatives are very much coming to the crypto market and really just getting started, but a lot of this capital is going to be coming into Bitcoin, of course, because all capital wants to find its best return ultimately. And the value of these derivatives is 1 quadrillion. There is a lot of currency out there, and of course this is growing. This was produced a year ago, and with the money printing that is happening around the world, the numbers that I just read out will be far lower than what they are today. So in theory and in practice in the future, a huge amount of this wealth, of this currency, will be flowing into the Bitcoin market as more and more investors realize that it is the ultimate investment, the ultimate store of value. And that is why up to this point, since inception, the Bitcoin price goes up. Of course, we have fun each day talking about whether it's up or down, and we talk about the 4-year cycles, and we have our parabolic move, and we have our sell-offs. But if you zoom out, the direction of travel for Bitcoin is very, very clear. We are going up and we are going to the right. That means the price is going up. That is going to continue until the majority of this money has been allocated to Bitcoin. And what does that mean in terms of the price as we look 10 years out, 20 years out? It's very, very hard to even put numbers on that. You're talking millions, tens of millions plus per Bitcoin. This is what the future holds. This is what those that understand Bitcoin are able to benefit from. Those that understood it early have managed to benefit from this first 12 years and of course seen fantastic returns. More so than that, they have now protected themselves against anything that can happen in the financial markets. But we're still early. 12 years, it will look like nothing when you talk about the next 12 years, the next 24 years. Bitcoin promises it is the black hole, it's sucking in all of this capital, and I do not see that slowing down anytime soon. So thank you for watching, supporting, and I'll talk to you soon.